Right now at 6, San Francisco bringing back ankle monitors and searches without a warrant on defendants waiting for their trials to start. It's sparking a debate pitting public safety versus privacy.
We're talking about folks who have only been charged, are presumed innocent.
Hear from people on both sides of the controversial court ruling.
This landmark decision sets a much-needed precedent for protection and public safety.
Plus, we'll introduce you to a local chocolatier whose business is hitting hard times.
We don't know if there's going to be any savings now because of tariffs.
But she says it's not just tariffs to blame. And we'll meet a mother who rushed to get family and her neighbors out of a burning apartment building.
We turned around and there was about a 2-foot flame. We got out of there as soon as we could.
And later, the first home to be rebuilt after the Eaton fire.
And today is the first day of my new life, you know?
We'll hear from the Altadena homeowner who's overjoyed at her fresh start. Plus, the vibes are good at Thrive City.
Let's go. All-day buckets, baby.
We'll check in with Dub Nation as the Warriors look to take a commanding lead over Houston in the NBA playoffs.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. San Francisco Sheriff Department is bringing back a controversial practice to track criminal defendants who are out on bail awaiting trial. So after more than a year of back and forth in federal court, the department is resuming its ankle monitoring program. And as part of the conditions for release, defendants must consent to searches without a warrant. As Lauren Toms reports, it's that part that's been at the center of a legal fight.
It's a small device that sparked a large debate pitting public safety against the right to privacy. San Francisco Public Defender Daniel Harris says a key condition of the Sheriff's Department's ankle monitoring program requiring warrantless searches of participants goes against the presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Given if the choice is jail or electronic monitoring, almost everyone will choose electronic monitoring, not because it's a good option.
San Francisco Sheriff Paul Miyamoto says the searches are an essential condition for public safety while allowing the defendants to await trial out of custody.
We want to give defendants an opportunity to receive services in the community that provide them with a chance to succeed while awaiting resolution of their case. And the bottom line, we want to make sure everybody is safe when we do so.
The sheriff's office announced plans to resume its electronic monitoring program after a federal appeals court ruled that warrantless searches are a reasonable safety measure. In the 2-1 decision, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned a lower court's injunction that said the searches violate a person's privacy rights. According to the department, 98 people are currently participating in the monitoring program as they await trial. Before 2018, the program averaged 75 participants, but saw a surge in 2021 to more than 1,600 participants. But a 2022 report on the program questioned its effectiveness. It found that 60% of participants violated the terms of their release, and 1 in 5 participants were arrested again for a new crime while being tracked. Board of Supervisors President Raphael Mandelman says he welcomes the program's return, but not as an alternative to holding repeat offenders.
That, there are people who need to be held and need to be held to account and should not be released unless we're sure we can safely do it. And for some of those people, the ankle monitor may add an additional level of safety or certainty, may make it slightly more likely that there's a positive outcome, but we should not be using them to the same extent that we were before.
To supporters, it's a compromise, allowing for less crowded jails and necessary safeguards to protect victims, witnesses, and the community.
This is about protecting families from violence. It's about making sure suspected drug dealers can't go back out and continue to commit crimes while they await trial.
Harris hopes to see more efforts to address the root causes of crimes.
If we don't treat those problems, those needs, we're just putting a Band-Aid on a problem, a very temporary Band-Aid. If we want to actually improve people's lives and becoming self-sufficient and no longer involved in the criminal legal system, we need to do things that we know work.
And the debate marches on as every step is watched for those being monitored.
And this legal battle is almost certainly not over yet. City officials told Lauren they're expecting an appeal to last week's Ninth Circuit ruling. All right, San Jose police showing off their high-tech crime-fighting tools. The department revealed their real-time intelligence center this afternoon. It will allow SJPD to monitor and analyze crimes as they happen by connecting to live video feeds from traffic cameras throughout the city to give information to responding officers. Police Chief Paul Joseph talked about how critical access to these cameras can be when solving a crime.
If you think about what is a camera is a witness. Nothing more, it's nothing less, but it's a witness that doesn't have bias. It's a witness that doesn't have a faulty memory. It's a witness that can be verified. So all we're really trying to do is get the best witness information possible when a crime occurs.
SJPD is also inviting the public to connect their personal security cameras to the system. The center will be staffed with 6 to 7 people to start, with the goal of achieving 24/7 monitoring to allow for constant information gathering. You may recall just a few weeks ago, we got a look inside San Francisco's own real-time investigation center. SFPD has been using drones, license plate readers, and other technology. Police Chief Bill Scott credits the program with a 20% year-over-year drop in crime over the first 3 months of 2025. Felony charges were announced today against the man suspected of attacking 2 seniors at an Oakland Chinatown supermarket. If convicted, 30-year-old Jeremy Morton could face up to 19 years in prison. The attack happened earlier this month at one key supermarket. Part of it was caught on security video there, and a store employee was shoved into a shelf and repeatedly hit by the attacker. This came after the employee asked to inspect the man's bag before he entered the store. Fortunately, a good Samaritan, Tom Jensen, stepped in to stop this attack. A few days later, the store's owner joined the Oakland Chinatown Improvement Council and representatives for city leaders to honor Jensen. They offered to cover his meals at the store and awarded him $1,600. Ribbon cutting today celebrated the opening of the Gilman interchange in Berkeley. The project is about 2 years in the making. So take a look at this. This is a map of the area on Gilman Street and Interstate 80 near the Tom Bates Regional Sports Complex. The interchange includes 2 roundabouts and a bike and pedestrian overpass that connects 4th Street to the Bay Trail bike path. Caltrans says it wanted to take a people-first approach to building this interchange, focusing on safety, not just for cars, but for pedestrians and cyclists who want to enjoy the area. In Oakland, groups that help victims of crime, abuse, and violence just found out the Trump administration is pulling their funding. CBS News has obtained a list of 365 federal grant programs that the U.S. Justice Department has halted. So we spoke with the executive director of Youth Alive, Dr. Joe Griffin. His organization focuses on violence reduction among young people, and he says the government canceled a $2 million grant. The money, spread over the course of 3 years, paid for 5 employees and provided services like housing for victims of violence.
And that's the hardest part is, can we still be there? The folks who work here at Youth Alive lead with passion, and they lead with love for communities that they serve, but that they're also from. And so to have this promise broken, I'm going to do everything I can to support my team.
Other Bay Area organizations impacted include Advance Peace in Richmond and Building Opportunities for Self-Efficiency in Berkeley. The total amount of the canceled grants nationwide comes out to over $800 million. The impacted organizations will have 30 days to file an appeal of the decision. Surging cocoa prices worldwide and the ongoing trade war between China and the U.S. are impacting local chocolatiers in the Bay Area. Kenny Choi explains this double whammy and how small businesses are navigating this quickly changing and challenging landscape.
For 24 years, Wendy Liu, who started making chocolate as a teenager out of her family kitchen, has been honing her craft and growing her small business as a chocolatier in San Francisco.
Finally, 11 years ago, was able to open up this space here on Folsom Street where we manufacture all the chocolate. We ship all the chocolates from here.
Liu says over the last 6 months, her supplier raised the price of cocoa, one of the key chocolate ingredients, by 20%, then 40%, and then an additional 20%. She resisted for as long as she could, but had to raise prices for the first time in 3 years.
I've been noticing that consumers are still purchasing, but spending a lot less.
The price of cocoa surged in 2024 and this year too. Analysts say the global shortage is driven by climate change and severe weather disruptions. Joseph Balagtas is a professor of agricultural economics.
Wholesale prices of cocoa beans were $9,000 US dollars a ton. That's up 4.5 times from 3 years ago.
Rising cocoa prices, plus the impact of tariffs on goods from China, like the packaging Sokola chocolatier uses, have made the immediate road ahead bumpy.
We don't know if there's going to be any savings now because of tariffs, and we haven't seen what that's going to look like. And so it's hard to say, that we are going to raise our price by X, Y, or Z at this moment.
Lou is absorbing as much of the additional cost as possible, and profit margins have thinned. She has avoided layoffs at her Folsom Street and SFO location in Terminal 3, but may have to cut hours for her 10 employees if sales continue to slow down.
It's really important to continue to support small businesses in our communities. It could be the difference of people staying open or closing.
Lou says many chocolatiers are desperately trying to stay alive, and that asking for support is better now before it's too late.
Ivory Coast is the world's biggest cocoa producer. President Trump has said he plans to impose a 21% tariff on products from that country, the highest among West African nations. Former Vice President Kamala Harris will be back in the Bay Area this week. Harris will be giving the keynote address at the 20th anniversary gala of Emerge America. That's a candidate training program that backs Democratic women. So the gala is set to take place Wednesday evening at the Palace Hotel. Organizers say the speech will be live streamed. Still ahead, right here at 6, an East Bay mother tells us how she and her son escaped a fire that ripped through their apartment this afternoon.
So I was just afraid that he wasn't going to hear me, and I'm screaming and trying to get him to get out of the room.
Plus, the first Eaton Fire rebuilding project is underway. We will meet the survivor who can't wait to step into her new home. Three families have to find a new place to live in Pleasant Hill after a fire broke out in this residential building. So our chopper flew over the damage this afternoon, and you can see the back of the building is charred. Fire officials tell us one unit was damaged, but the entire building has been red tagged over concerns about the building's insulation. We heard from a mother who says she was home on a work call when her dog started barking and brought the fire to her attention.
There was about a 2-foot flame in the backyard, kind of starting to make its way to the building, and we got out of there as soon as we could.
She woke up her son, who was resting in another room. Everyone that was inside the building made it out safely. The Red Cross was called to help the families displaced. Well, PG&E is now using drones to inspect its transmission lines and other equipment. The company held this demonstration today in San Mateo. The utility says it is a safer, more reliable way to conduct inspections.
We can now get a bird's eye view of the asset. We can see it from the top down. And the use of drones makes it much more efficient. In the past, we would have had to have a line worker climb each structure and take a look at the health of each thing.
The utility also emphasizes the drones are only taking photos of PG&E equipment, not people or private property. Signs of progress today in the burn scar of the Eaton wildfire in LA County, the first construction of a home destroyed back in January. Amanda Starr-Tito spoke with the homeowner in Altadena who cannot wait for a fresh start.
The shovels are out and everyone is getting to work here on what will be the first home to break ground on the rebuilds here in Altadena since the Eaton fire. So what we're seeing with these construction crews, they are going to level out the ground. They're checking the water lines as well. But where I'm standing, they just laid out the lines of what this new home for Margot Stuber will be. And right here is her front door, and she couldn't be happier. Take a listen.
Slowly, and today is the highlight of it. From looking to the past and to what I lost, I start looking into the future. And today is the first day of my new life, So it will manifest, you know, where I can sit again in front of a fireplace with my cat and with my friends, you know, and be in Altadena.
Margot stood alongside state and county officials to cut the ribbon on not only her property, but the first of many properties that will soon be following her on the rebuild. Construction crews on her property this morning beginning the work, digging, setting up the water. Margot opted in on the debris removal program with the Army Corps of Engineers. She was the first to have her property cleared just a few weeks ago. So this particular property is actually surrounded by a lot of homes that still have not been cleared just yet. So it's going to be a long way to go for this neighborhood here. So this home is on West Palm. We're right off of Fair Oaks, and this is what it's going to look like here. A little different than what she had originally, a more modern design, but she said she couldn't be more excited. This was her vision, and she can't wait to come back to something completely new. And she says if all goes as planned with the construction, she should be back in by January, and she plans to move in right away, even though she knows she's going to have to wait for her neighbors to follow. But she wants to be part of Altadena coming home.
County supervisor says this is an example of what happens when agencies work together. She says she and her staff are staying on top of things like permitting so people won't have to call for updates.
We had some showers. Yeah, we had some showers across the Bay Area over the weekend. Today, though, we returned to close to normal temperatures, reaching up into the mid-70s for one of the warmer locations in Concord. It's about exactly average, in fact, for this time of year. But close to the coast, only in the mid-50s for Half Moon Bay. A bigger spread in temperatures in store for us tomorrow and Wednesday. Details on that coming up in First Alert Weather.
All right, time for that all-important weather forecast. Okay, not to complain, a little chilly out there, right?
It was over the weekend, certainly. And this morning, it was chilly across most of the Bay Area. But now we're going to warm up a little bit.
Okay.
And then down the other side of the roller coaster into the weekend.
Okay. And then back up again?
So early April, the worst weather was kind of lined up with the weekdays, and then we got better for the weekends.
Okay.
We flipped that around, where now the weekends aren't as great.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do about it. Let's take a look at what's happening out there right now. And what we're seeing is, well, not much fog yet as we look out from Salesforce Tower, but some of that is going to develop as we head through the rest of tonight. And then just passing clouds overhead on Tuesday. Above normal temperatures are going to arrive tomorrow and then continue on Wednesday. And then it's back down the other side of that temperature roller coaster. A late week cooling trend will send us down to chilly temperatures by Saturday, the first weekend in May. And showers are going to be possible on Saturday as well. We'll talk more about that momentarily. Let's switch perspectives and look out from Sutro Tower, where the fog is making a little bit more of a push through the Golden Gate. But you can still kind of see the bridge in there before we covered it up with current temperatures. The influence of that marine air certainly being felt in San Francisco and Oakland, where temperatures are only in the mid to upper 50s right now. Mostly upper 60s farther inland, but still clinging to the low 70s in Concord. Everybody's going to kind of even out in the 40s later on tonight as our temperatures will get down to basically what's normal for this time of year. The fog is going to be mainly along the coast and a little bit sneaking through the Golden Gate for much of this evening, but then after midnight, we'll start to see more of that fog kind of sneaking up into the North Bay. Not going to be too much of a problem east of the Oakland Hills or in the Santa Clara Valley, so I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on the morning commute, and what fog there is should back up to the coast by mid-morning and should break up even along the coast as we head into the afternoon, although your temperatures are not going to warm up a whole lot. Let's take a look at those forecast highs for tomorrow. And at the coast, we're talking upper 50s and maybe a couple spots in the low 60s if you're very lucky. Mid to upper 70s for most of the North Bay, running a couple degrees above normal. The warmest spots will be east of the Oakland Hills, the usual warm spots from Fairfield to Concord to around Antioch and Brentwood, and same thing for Livermore at or above 80 degrees, but a mix of 60s and 70s around the Bay and mid to upper 70s to around 80 degrees as you head into the Santa Clara Valley. Warmer than normal temperatures, but only about 4 to 6 degrees above normal away from the water by tomorrow afternoon, and good dog walking weather if your pups aren't too fluffy. They don't mind the warmer temperatures. We have Leonardo and Mona Lisa themed dogs this evening who seem to have some extra fluff, so they may not be too enthusiastic about those temperatures climbing up to above normal, but just mid-70s where they're at home in San Jose. Plenty of sunshine throughout the day. Again, I think we're just going to see a few passing clouds way up in the atmosphere, occasionally filtering the sunshine. So sun's out, tongues out weather for Leo and Mona Lisa there. The onshore breeze is going to be with us. That's why the coast is going to be cooler, but it's not going to be too strong. Just the strongest gusts tomorrow afternoon. And again, on Wednesday are going to be in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range. But the onshore breeze picks up. We see more cloud cover later this week, and we see that chance of rain showers headed in for the weekend. And so our temperatures do dip significantly. Livermore goes from around 80 the next couple of days to barely above 60 on Saturday. Kind of a one-day cold snap. We're back up into the low to mid 70s by early next week. And the rain chances, it's not a guarantee. In early May, our rain chances tend to be pretty few and far between, and we're still lower than a 50-50 chance of rain on the rainfall chances chart. We'll keep you updated as we get closer to the weekend in case you need to adjust any outdoor plans. Here's the 7-day forecast for the coast, and that temperature roller coaster ride isn't going to be too violent. We're talking about the coolest day on Saturday, only down to the mid 50s, and then you're back up to around 60 degrees with more sunshine by early next week. Bayside temperatures at their warmest tomorrow, Wednesday, and then again early next week, close to 70 degrees. At the coolest, only in the low 60s with that decent chance of showers on Saturday. And the wildest ride is going to be farther inland where those near 80-degree high temperatures, Jules doing a little dance for the wildest ride. Those near 80-degree high temperatures won't last long. Only mid-60s for Saturday, the first Saturday of May, feeling more like St. Patrick's Day.
If they didn't see it, it didn't happen. I did not do a dance.
I did see it.
Okay.
Can't unsee it.
Okay, so when we come back, the Warriors get some all-star reinforcement as they get ready for Game 4 against the Rockets. Here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Breakthrough research is offering evidence of a better way to treat certain cancers without chemotherapy or surgery.
Also, it's been 15 years since the BP oil spill. How is the environment healed? The beaches may be clear, but our Eye on America looks at lingering damage below the surface. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
All right, just asking for a friend. How do lobster nachos sound? And what about brown butter chocolate chip cookies? That sounds good. Those are just some of the items on the menu for the Salvation Army Restaurant Tasting Showcase happening in San Francisco. 12 culinary students got to show off their cooking skills to potential employers. The students will graduate in May after finishing 250 hours of culinary training. It's part of the Salvation Army's Way Out program. Their goal is to help people overcome addiction and reclaim their lives. Looks amazing. It's official. Jimmy Butler will be playing Game 4 tonight as the Warriors take on the Houston Rockets. In the first round of the playoffs, Butler missed Game 3 because of a pelvic contusion. So the Warriors managed to win without him to take a 2-1 lead in the series. It is best of 7. Steph Curry carried the offense without Butler Saturday night. He led the Dubs with 36 points, but Batman will be happy to have Robin back on the floor tonight. All right, this is a live look at Thrive City outside Chase Center as fans are arriving for Game 4. And we heard from some of those excited fans ready to see the Dubs keep the momentum going and put the Rockets on the brink of elimination.
This is my first Warriors game. My daughter bought me tickets today and surprised me.
I think Dub Nation's going to be ready. You saw them and you heard them on Saturday. I'm going to remind a lot of people to wear the shirt today. I brought a big sign to make sure that we do so.
All right, wear the shirts. Go Dub Nation. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. CBS Evening News with Maurice Dubois. John Dickerson is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, as always, on CBS News Bay Area. Back right here in 30 minutes with CBS News Bay Area at 7 with our own tip-off. See you then.